behind the scenes, there's a very, very dangerous thing going on. And we've got Janet Yellen, who has never had a productive private sector job in her entire life, out there trying to push the entire world, not just for a global minimum corporate tax rate, but now the stories in the last 2 days, here's a headline from Reuters, Yellen to press G20 for higher minimum corporate tax rate. Can you please explain what's going on and why it's so bad?
We've had, ever since Reagan and Thatcher cut tax rates about 40 years ago, we've had a very good period of tax competition in the world. And what's tax competition? It's where one government lowers tax rates and other governments feel pressure to do the same thing because they're losing jobs and investment. And so average corporate tax rates have come down dramatically over the last 40 years. Top personal income tax rates have come down, which is really surprising because politicians always like to demonize against successful people. But in a world of tax competition, they've been forced to lower tax rates. Well, the left knows that this is very bad for them. And that's why Janet Yellen, when she became Biden's Treasury Secretary, she went to the French and the Germans and the others and said, hey, why don't we all agree to set up a global tax cartel? We'll bully places like Ireland and Switzerland and Bermuda and Hong Kong, and we'll bully them to raise their tax rates. And I warned from the moment that came out, well, if they ever get the premise accepted, it's just a matter of time before the 15% global minimum tax rate goes higher. And even faster than I thought was possible, that's already under discussion. As a matter of fact, there's an editorial in the New York Times today by a couple of left-wingers saying, well, it should be a 25% global minimum tax. And if that goes through, guess what? The day after that, it'll be a 40 or a 50% global minimum tax. But here's something that we should worry about even more. I mean, first of all, we should worry about global corporate minimum taxes because corporate taxes are paid by who? Workers, consumers, and shareholders. Businesses don't pay taxes, they simply collect them. So all of us will pay if this sort of global OPEC for politicians corporate tax cartel goes in. But we'll also pay because the moment they get this global corporate minimum tax in, what are they going to do? They're going to push for global minimum personal taxes and global minimum capital gains taxes and dividend taxes and death taxes and wealth taxes, you name it. This has been the dream of politicians, especially working with international left-wing bureaucracies like the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development in Paris. Politicians want to make taxpayers captive customers. They would love to, in effect, create an oligopoly where they all agree to push these tax rates higher and higher. And what's that going to mean? Slower and slower growth, less and less opportunity, and bigger, more wasteful government.